The 2026 World Cup is officially underway, and somehow, the opening match ended with 3 red cards. Jose Mourinho has already landed one of the biggest signings of the summer. Manchester City are preparing a €140 million move for a Premier League star. And FIFA may have just changed football's transfer market forever. From World Cup chaos to transfer drama, today's football headlines have it all. So grab your coffee, grab your breakfast, and let's catch up on everything happening in the football world. Let's get into it. The 2026 World Cup is finally here. 80,000 fans packed the stadium in Mexico City, hoping to witness a memorable opening night. And memorable is exactly what they got. Mexico defeated South Africa 2-0, but the score barely tells the story. The match quickly revealed a massive gap in quality between the two sides. South Africa repeatedly tried to build from the back, even under heavy pressure, and it didn't take long for disaster to strike. A mistake near their own penalty area gifted Julian Quiñones the first goal of the entire tournament. The first half was fairly quiet. The second half, pure chaos. 3 red cards. Yes, 3. One for a last man challenge, another for striking an opponent in the face, and a third for yet another denial of a clear goal-scoring opportunity. According to tournament records, no previous World Cup opening match had ever seen this many dismissals. Mexico eventually added a second goal through veteran striker Raúl Jiménez and comfortably secured all 3 points. But the drama didn't stop inside the stadium. Reports from Mexico City showed clashes between protesters and police outside the ground during the match. The World Cup is only 1 game old, and we already have one of the wildest opening nights in tournament history. Jose Mourinho isn't even officially back on the training ground yet, and Real Madrid have already delivered one of his biggest requests. Bernardo Silva is heading to the Bernabeu. For years, the Portuguese midfielder seemed destined for Barcelona. Then, Atletico Madrid entered the race, and now, Real Madrid have won. According to Fabrizio Romano and several other reliable sources, Bernardo Silva has reached an agreement to join Los Blancos through 2028. It's a fascinating signing. Bernardo isn't the fastest player. He isn't the strongest player. But very few footballers understand space, positioning, and decision-making the way he does. Pep Guardiola trusted him in virtually every situation, and Mourinho clearly believes he can become one of the leaders of this new Real Madrid project. According to Ramon Alvarez de Mon, Mourinho has already been heavily involved in transfer planning and has received almost everything he asked for from Florentino Perez. That includes Bernardo Silva. Real Madrid didn't just sign a great player. They beat both Barcelona and Atletico Madrid to get him. And that's always satisfying if you're wearing white. Manchester City may be about to make one of the biggest transfer offers in football history. And somehow, it still wasn't enough. According to David Ornstein, City submitted a package worth around €140 million for Nottingham Forest midfielder Elliot Anderson. Sounds insane, right? Well, Forest weren't impressed. The problem wasn't the amount, it was the structure. Only around €122 million was guaranteed, with the rest tied to bonuses and performance-related clauses. Forest want the full amount, up front. Reports suggest the club would actually prefer something closer to €150 million before even considering a sale, which creates a fascinating situation. Manchester City clearly see Anderson as a future superstar. Forest clearly see him as priceless. And now, both clubs are staring each other down. The craziest part? A few years ago, €150 million was Neymar money. Today, it might not even be enough for a Nottingham Forest player. Football has completely lost its mind. FIFA and FIFA Pro may have just changed football's transfer market forever. A new agreement between the two organizations is introducing several major changes that will impact clubs across the world. And some executives are probably not happy about it. The biggest change involves player treatment. If a club isolates a player from the first team in an attempt to force a transfer, that could now be considered a breach of contract. In other words, the famous bomb squad strategy could become extremely risky. Players may be entitled to compensation and legal action if clubs attempt to pressure them into leaving. There are other major changes too. Mandatory off-season holidays, more influence for player unions, and perhaps most importantly, According to Jose Felix Diaz, players will now receive 5% of their own transfer fee automatically. Previously, footballers had to negotiate those clauses themselves. Now the payment becomes part of the system. For agents and players, this is a huge win. For clubs, not so much. Thomas Tuchel hasn't even managed a World Cup match with England yet, and the criticism is already flying. The England manager has faced heavy scrutiny over several of his squad selections, with fans, journalists, and former players all questioning certain decisions. One of the loudest voices belongs to England legend John Terry. He recently argued that Tuchel left out too many proven international performers and suggested players like Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw should have been trusted. John Terry said, "I believe you take your best players." Tuchel got 3 or 4 decisions wrong. The further you go in a World Cup, the more you need your best players. But that's only part of the debate. Another storyline continues to follow Jude Bellingham. Despite being one of England's biggest stars, there are increasing questions about how Tuchel plans to use him. Morgan Rogers' incredible season has made competition for places even tougher, and some analysts believe the relationship between Tuchel and Bellingham could become one of England's biggest talking points during the tournament. Personally, international football isn't about assembling the biggest collection of stars. It's about building the best team, and history has proven that many times. And that's your football catch-up for today. Thanks for spending part of your morning with Everyday Football. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe so tomorrow's football stories are waiting for you with your next coffee. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.